All right, welcome Facebook, Facebook, YouTube, and we're twitching today, Jim. Welcome, folks, community members, guests. Welcome to Your Solution Live podcast with Jim out of Tucson, Santos, here out of Stockton, California. Today we have a special edition, so get angry. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. We're going to deal with anger. Jim, so we're going to invite you to come on inside, buckle up. Let me see if I remember how to do this again. All right, get inside, buckle up, turn down all distractions. You can grab a pen if you want. I've got the golden pen of justice today. Can you see it? There it is. All right. I'm inviting you to participate, subscribe, especially if you're new. Comment, like, and share. Please comment, like, and share. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, today's topic is going to go ahead and be redirecting the fire, how to break the anger cycle. That's the topic for today. How do we go ahead and get control over our anger?
All right. Did we get that? Yeah, let me turn down this little. We have some visitors. Welcome again. 45 minutes. And Jim, can you say that just a little bit louder? I think I missed you. Repeat it real quick.
Yeah, so today's topic is going to be how redirecting the fire. That's the title of today's episode, Redirecting the Fire, how to break the anger cycle. Today we're going to go out and try to figure out how to get a control of our anger. We know that anger is sometimes not the best to have. And we want to go out and be able to control our anger. We'll talk about strategies, ways, so that we can be in control, not anger.
Yes, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do our best tonight here. So stick around. I feel like Emerald Legaspi. Turn it up a notch. Anyways, we got a proverb coming here. Thanks for that intro there. And we've been talking about anger, and we've been discussing this topic. Of course, there's a lot more that we could be learning and practicing. So we're going to do that just a little bit. So stay with us, folks. 45 minutes is going to go by very quickly. You got a question, you got a thought, you got a share. Don't despair if you care. If you dare. All right. Hey, that sounded pretty good. Happy Resurrection Day. Yes. Nicholas, welcome. Mr. Keevan, welcome. And who else is with us? There's Nicholas. Question? So let me get into the proverb. By the way, we've been talking about anger for a few episodes now. So tonight we're gonna just dig a little deeper. The Proverbs 19:20. Great proverb. I love this. Hear counsel and receive instruction. How many people today are not even trying to listen to somebody or to something that comes along, makes sense? All right, hear counsel and receive instruction. This is Proverbs out of the Old Testament, by the way. That thou mayest be wise. Man, I want to be wise every day as much as possible with my decisions, with myself. But man, I fail all the time. Do you feel that way? I want to be wise in the latter end, right? So that's a word for somebody tonight. If we want to end well, not just get through anger, right? End well, not just get through anger, but grow from it. We've got to be open to counsel, correction, and wisdom. So that's what tonight's episode is about. All right. Let me see. That was good. Wait a minute. I used to think that I had an anger issue, Jim. I used to think I had an anger issue. It was until I realized that I was actually angry at everyone in traffic equally. That's balance. Anyways, we're talking about anger, and we're gonna set the. Let me see. Remember, folks, if you're here, listen. Put a question in the comment. A comment. Ask a question. We really want to dig and learn. We want to learn because 45 minutes is going to go by very quickly, so that we can get started Monday. Right, running head start on Monday. We wake up. We're feeling good. You're looking good. You're doing good. You're thinking good. Laura, welcome. Hello, Coach and Jim. How are y'all doing? Great, thank you. Redirecting your anger. So let me get this. Um, if you've been tuning in, if this content is helping you, take a second to hit that subscribe button, please. Like it, comment, share your thoughts, and consider supporting the mission with $5. If you can do that, $5. Facebook. I know there's somebody listening through Facebook and Twitch. So it keeps the message moving forward and it helps others to hear. All right. Name it to tame it. Anger isn't just one feeling. It often masks fear, pain, disrespect, and exhaustion. When you name what you're really feeling, what happens? Anybody? Jim, what happens when you name what you're feeling?
Well, you become aware, you know. You got to go ahead and become aware. If you're aware of what's going on, that gives you some space to go ahead and not let the anger or the emotion take control. You know, when you are aware of it, you can go and say, whoa, I'm getting angry right now. I can go and feel it. And then the ideas come in. It's like, is this good or bad? You know, it kind of reminds you of what are the times when I got angry? How did it result? What kind of results happened when I got really angry? You know, I got out of control. You know, just that little space of awareness can allow you to have that kind of control. You know, I mean, you have a choice. You give yourself a choice when you know, start becoming aware of your anger, you know, and don't let it control you. It's important. It's important to go and
So,
be aware.
so in other words, an awareness. You don't know what is it? You don't know what you don't know, and then they say that you know. What is it? Maybe I'm off. Okay. Anyways, anger isn't just one feeling. By the way, it often masks fear or pain, disrespect or exhaustion. When you name what you're really feeling, and again, it takes an effort, it takes a desire. And if you don't have the desire, if you don't have the desire, in fact, if you don't have the desire, you're not even going to be here on this podcast too long because this is not going to make any sense to you. Uh, this is work. It is a challenge. It is an effort. It is a reward, kind of like gambling. Same thing, right? Gambling is a reward. It's an effort. It's a challenge. It's highs and lows, right? Highs and lows, and wins and losses. Understanding. Now, how do you understand? How do you get to that place? What's one good thing that you can do, Jim? What's a good tip to help you understand what you're going through, or to name something, right? Name it to tame it. Name it to tame it. What's another way to describe that? Acceptance, right? In other words, get out of the river of denial. And that's
Yeah,
not
I
talking
mean,
about that lake. It's not talking about the river that goes through Egypt in that area. I'm not talking
if,
about that Nile.
if you're angry, if you find yourself getting angry, we talked about the awareness. We have to go ahead and be honest with ourselves. in that space, when we are recognizing that we're getting angry, and we have to ask ourselves, is my anger, am I projecting my anger on the external people, whatever, outside of me, as a way to distract myself from really taking responsibility and seeing myself of my own shortcomings? I mean, like, I might be getting really angry at other people and other things, right? As a way to go ahead and dismiss my own issues of my inability to deal with the problems that I have facing me. So I scream and yell and put the blame on the external traffic, the other people, the co-workers, the family, the people all around us, the president, the politics, the world, instead of really looking at myself, because maybe I'm afraid that I have no control over myself. I don't have an ability to go and handle my own life.
Let
To
me
there,
ask you this. Are you redirecting while you're doing that also? We're talking about redirecting or anger. Are you redirecting?
yeah, you got to be aware. You got to be aware of, like, what's going on. Why do I have this anger? Where's this anger coming from? Where is this anger
No, no,
coming
no. What I wanted to
from?
ask you is that you can be redirecting your anger, right? You could be moving it in a whole wrong direction.
That's right.
That's
I
what
mean,
I'm.
if you think about what is anger, anger is violence, right? Eric says anger is one letter short of danger, right? I mean, I think about, we have to go and define what anger is. It's emotional, right? It could be a mask for fear, right?
Hello, Mark.
It could be, you know, violent thoughts, violent feelings, a temper, right? Out of control, hitting, you know, nasty words, nasty comments. I mean, we have to go on and think about that kind of stuff, and we'll think about the consequences. That's the space that we're trying to develop. We need to go and be aware of what anger or what's happening with us. I am experiencing anger, in that moment, in light speed, thoughts are coming to our mind. What are the consequences of anger? What is anger? Anger is violence. Do I want violence? What happened when I got angry before? Where is this anger coming from?
Well, understanding, right? We all experience that. And understanding how to redirect. We're talking about these points that we need to catch. You need to catch these things before they go too far. I went fishing one time and fell in the river and lost all my equipment. I almost drowned. If I would have just followed one or two little principles before I did what I did, I wouldn't have fallen into the water. I lost my fishing pole, my license. I had to drive home wet for 30 minutes. It was horrible. And I'm glad that my son wasn't there because he was a little boy. I wouldn't have been able to get him out of the water. I had to be taken out of the water. Anyways, what does that have to do with? Anger often shows up, as you mentioned, Jim. Jaw tightens, fist clench, breath shortens. Breaking that pattern physically can reset your mental state. And we're talking about breaking these patterns. We're talking about identifying these patterns. We've been talking about identifying anger, and we kind of know what anger is and what triggers us, right? You should know that. And if you don't, one pro tip that I'm going to share with you right now is keep a journal or a voice note log of emotional moments. Man, this is really cool stuff that we're talking about here for growing yourself. It's like you put yourself it's like you put yourself in a laboratory, like a laboratory, and you go to work on yourself. And you start dissecting and you see things. Sometimes they're really ugly or they're smelly. It's like dissecting an animal in a laboratory when you cut them open, all that stuff. But you're working on yourself. That's what I feel like most of the time when I come to the podcast or this community. I feel like it's a laboratory, and I know this is not for everybody, but man, it's a wonderful challenge. It's a wonderful thing. Instead, we look for these other challenges, negative challenges, evil challenges, instead of really looking at the true challenge, and that's really putting yourself in a laboratory to work on yourself. And I'm not just talking about to try to build muscles with steroids, right? I'm talking about building up, under, understanding. Uh, I often think, could this happen to somebody? You're working on a huge deal to make a lot of money. And if you're not prepared for that deal, like Mr. Trump, right? That opportunity could pass you by. And again, this is breaking that pattern physically can reset your mental state. When you're ready to throw hands, throw a push-up instead. When you're ready to throw hands, throw a push-up instead. There you go. Walk, stretch, deep breaths, shake your limbs. These are things that are going to help you interrupt that mental state of moving your redirecting, uh, redirecting, or redirectoring. There we go. That's a new word, redirectoring. All right. Don't make fun of me. All right. And don't bust my chops either. I see people coming in and out. Nobody's asking. Is anybody asking? Either that or this must be a boring podcast. That's all right. It'll go. It's going by fairly quickly. All right. See, you guys had somebody had a slip up. Anger causes depression. If you don't, yes, that's why we're here, because we want to avoid. We're already all depressed. You're depressed too on the other side. Come on now, don't tell the truth. We're all depressed. Even yours truly is majorly depressed too. But I'm like a functioning alcoholic. All right, functioning manic depressant. Anyways, that's true. But ask a question. Come on, folks. Let's think. Let's use our brains tonight here. Let's see what I need your help on the other side. I need help. By the way, my YouTube channel's growing, which is really great. I'm really grateful for that. We just crossed over the 7,000 mark, and the numbers are already, we hit 7,000, I think, a week ago, and we're already hitting 7,050, which is, honestly, I don't know what's happening, but maybe God is growing this channel because he wants to reach people. That's the only conclusion that I can think of, other than my little measly work that I do. You know, I'm a one-man operation when it comes to the channel, and hopefully somebody will come along that has good skills with video and can help. That's interested in wanting to break free from that pattern of of, of gambling, of bullshit, because it's all, pardon my language, it's all a fucking lie. It's a gimmick. It's a trick, and you're getting duped big time. If you're following that, if you're gambling 3-4 times a week, you're getting duped. I guarantee you're getting duped. You gotta wake up, man. Read. Okay. Any questions? No, any questions? Some people get it and that's it. Can't control it. Chemicals. Depression sucks. It's like being hypnotized when you see the lights and all that. Any questions? Facebook. You guys know who Vic Dibibero is? Facebook. He's always yelling. You ever see him on Facebook? That guy's a comedian. Facebook. You got any questions? How about YouTube? YouTube, Twitch. Any questions? Put it down in the comments there. We're going to address it before the program's over. Point of impact. All right. Let me see. Ever tried jumping jacks? Jim, have you ever tried jumping jacks angry? You look like a chicken.
Yeah, that's basically Tony Robbins style when you're trying to go and change your physical state. He's big on that neuro-linguistic programming. When you go out and put your physical body in a different state, it's difficult to remain in that bad emotional state. That's why exercise is good. When you get the body moving, it can go hard and improve your mood, right?
Yeah. Let me see. What was it that I? Oh yeah, but I gotta go back to this. Ever try jumping jacks angry? If you're angry, try jumping jacks. You look like a chicken trying to moonwalk. Anyways, I've seen Anthony Robbins doing that. So yes, he looks like a chicken on a moonwalk. Thank you for the comment. Appreciate that. By the way, again, if you like what we're doing here, make sure that you're subscribing, comment, like, support the channel. $5. If you can do that, you can do $3. If you can do 10, support the channel. It helps. So thank you. Your older videos help me so much. Appreciate that, Mr. Keevan. All right, let's move on because time is moving on. We're talking about uh, interrupt. So interrupt the story. Your mind runs narratives. They always, or I can't take this anymore. Learn to pause the story and speak truth to the inner script. Sometimes you just got to talk to yourself. Sometimes you just got to have a really good conversation with yourself. It's like just like that. You got to just talk to yourself. Have a good conversation with yourself. What does that mean to have a good conversation with yourself? People don't do this. They're like robots. People are like robots today. People are just so programmed. It's almost frightening. It is. It's frightening. You see people, and if we're not careful, we can become just like that. Uh-oh. Yeah, Jim disappeared into the vortex. Oh, there he is. So I'm grateful for this program on Sundays that we can take at least 45 minutes and reflect. And hopefully you're getting better on the other side. And if you are, praise God for that one. Any questions? Jim, you got a thought? Getting older can depress me.
Yeah, I mean, like once you become aware of your anger, you know the consequences. Think about the gamblers, the people who have trouble with addiction. It reminds me of Charles Stanley. Charles Stanley talked about the acronym HALT. It says, don't do anything when you have one of these issues going on. HALT stands for when you're hungry, when you're angry, when you're lonely, or when you're tired. The casinos, the bad addictions take advantage of when you are emotional, you know, and things don't go well when we have our emotions take us over. I mean, it's like, I remember Eric's nephew or Eric's, I believe, son-in-law. He had an issue with just being cranky, hangry. You see, when you're hungry, you get kind of angry, right? If you are, lonely, I mean, you can go ahead and all the people on this program probably get influenced by these emotional states. Anger is one of them. It's like if you have a big fight with your family, right? A big argument. It's like you don't want to go ahead and hang around there. You're angry. You want to go and feel better right away. You probably go to the casino, maybe. Go to the bar, drink alcohol, right? In those emotional states. And I think that awareness, getting back to that awareness, realizing, what can my unchecked emotions do to me? It can go ahead and direct me into actions that I will regret. So, I mean, being aware that emotions can hurt us, it can go and put us in a very negative place. Um, so, yeah, be aware of halt. Be aware of halt. Lonely, depression. I mean, it's like we were talking about Tony Robbins, talking about the physical state. I mean, if you're feeling bad, take a shower, maybe. Sometimes a shower, a bath, just go ahead and put you in a better mood physically. Oftentimes we are depressed, we're angry is because we don't feel good. Physically, we don't feel good. We're beaten up, we're tired, just you just feel lousy. And is there a way for us to go ahead and feel better, to go out and get in a better state of mind? I mean, rest, you know, like I said, taking a shower, something that will go ahead and make your body feel better. Moving around, exercise, right? I mean, being aware that, your emotional state is like what you're talking about before, like on the car dashboard, those indicator lights, right? Anger could be one of those indicator lights. It's like, uh-oh, uh-oh, we got something happening here. I got to go ahead and, respond to this light. What do I need to do? My anger is getting out of control. I can feel it elevating. Where is it coming from? What can I do to go ahead and get away from it? What are the consequences? What I have to go out and watch out for?
Yeah, the Bible says you can be angry and sin not. So anger, again, the anger itself, being angry, is there's nothing wrong with being angry. In fact, sometimes you need to get angry because the anger is energy. It's like gasoline, and again, it's moving you in one of two directions. Right? We're talking about redirecting. Redirect. Your mind runs narratives. They always or I can't take this anymore. Right? Learn to pause the story and speak truth to the inner script. What else could be true right now when you're going through this? You can stop and ask a question, interrupt yourself. Uh, this is, I don't know. There's not a lot of people on the planet that are really interested in wanting to really change. I don't think there's just a handful that I see around. I don't see too many people, family members, sometimes friends. We hang on to all of these things and we don't really dig deeper, and then we wonder why. Uh, how do you overcome anger? After losing your job, and it depends. First of all, I know I've had losses of jobs, but I stopped and thought about it. Like it says here, your mind runs narratives. They always, or I can't take this anymore. Learn to pause the story. I remember I got fired and here in California at will, and no, man, I started looking into that. They ain't gonna just fire me. I didn't do wrong. I started looking at this at will stuff. I ended up getting an attorney and ended up getting some paid for it. So again, how does one overcome anger? Losing your job, to the casino, and I'm gonna tell you the number one thing. If you hear anything tonight, folks, if you hear anything, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and I'm talking to myself and anybody else that's listening, unless you have your mind made up, your mind has to be made up, right? You got, okay, this is what I want. Well, I'm not sure how I'm going to get there. I'm not even sure if I can even do this, but it's what I want. You focus, you make a decision, you move in that direction. All right, I don't always lose my cool just when the microwave beeps before it's done. All right. What else could be true? Replace generalizations with facts. Use scripture to refocus your thinking. That's what I do. Man, there's times where you just feel like it's the end of the world. Like I was telling Jim, sometimes it feels like you have like a red sea in front of you, kind of like the people of Egypt. I often reflect on the people of Egypt. There was a large number that came out, the people of God that came out of Egypt. And these people were loaded probably with food and jewelry and all kinds of stuff. And there was some people in that group that were good people, and there was some people in there that were not so good. Anyways, God is merciful to all of them, the good and the bad. They stood in front of the Red Sea because they couldn't get over that. And here's this group of people. Can you imagine there's an ocean right in front of them and they're like being chased by the enemy and they're like sweating bullets and stuff. And then all of a sudden Moses lifts up his hand and that Red Sea parts. It just opens up. Like, can you imagine? Like, I know they must have been running through there. Yeah, that's how it feels like sometimes in your life. You feel like you might have some little Red Sea. You might have a little one, but it's a Red Sea and it's right there in front of you. And you're like, man, the enemy's right behind me. I can, he's breathing on me, the enemy, and that ocean right there, that Red Sea is so huge, it almost looks impossible. Yeah, God did it in the Old Testament. I believe it. I believe it happened. There's proof of all of these things. So if I pray, hopefully, maybe God might have mercy on me too. If I pray, right? Maybe if I pray, but if I don't ask, if I don't seek, nothing's going to happen. Anchor your purpose. All right, we're running out of time. We've got about another 15 minutes. Anchor your purpose. This is a good question. How do you anchor your purpose? What am I about to lose if I lose it? Again, questioning yourself. Really, all of this is really just helping you to stop and think before you make a move. Generally, you're losing and you're angry and you're fighting and you're going to jail because you're really not stopping to think about what you're doing, right? Isn't that's the way it was for me? Fighting, arguing, getting hurt, going to jail for a couple days, going to court, getting and all that stuff. Didn't stop and ask myself the question until I something happened somewhere. Somebody came along. God must have sent an angel and somehow got a hold of me somewhere. Um, Here's a good one. Keep a phrase in your heart that brings you back to peace. That's a good little tip right there, right? Keep a phrase in your heart. I like to say this often. Your good life is going to come out of a good series of good, constant, positive reminders. Keep a phrase in your heart that brings you back to peace. Hopefully that helps a little bit, Mr. Keevan. Hopefully. But ultimately, it's up to you, right? It is. We can sit here and, man, we could be the best psychologists, philosophers, uh, stoics, if you want to, Greeks, geeks. But if you don't make a decision, it ain't going nowhere. All right, we're almost done here. So we got a little wrap up and then just a call to action, folks. So thank you for staying with us. Again, if you enjoy the podcast, comment, like, and share, subscribe. $5 to the mission. If you can do that, it helps me, it helps the mission, it helps you, it helps others. All right. Race. Go ahead. You got some thoughts? Yes, I celebrated Passover this week. Hopefully, that helped you out there, Mr. Keevan. You got a thought there, Jim? We're going to be wrapping things up here pretty soon.
Yeah, I was just thinking about when you have out of control anger. I would say that out of control anger is just the devil trying to convince you that you don't have any choices. You don't have any choice. You're just a rat trapped in a cage, and you don't have any options. And in fact, we all have choices. We have like an infinite number of choices. It does take effort to go ahead and stop and think about our possibilities and make a choice. It does take, but sometimes we like to go and be a victim. It's so comfortable being a victim. It's like it's out of my control. I can't do it. It's his fault. It's that person's fault. It's the world's fault. It's that politician's fault. It's easy to go ahead and fall into that idea that you don't have any choices, and you explode, in anger, in emotion, right? Like that rat. I mean, think about an animal trapped, just trapped. They're like freaking out. They're freaking out. They don't know where to go, right? And I think that's something that we all face when we, succumb to that idea that we don't have any control. There's infinite number of opportunities for us. Every moment gives us an opportunity to go ahead and make a positive choice. We can let things go. It's like I have the choice. I don't have to be angry. I don't have to go and let this thing control me. I don't. Who says that? I mean, that's taking power right there.
Exactly.
It does take effort. It does take effort because it feels so
And
warm, comfortable. But it's a responsibility that we have to go ahead and and take. I mean, if we do make a positive choice, right, we have to act on it. We have to go ahead and move forward with that. And that takes work, that takes effort. It just doesn't happen. So, I mean, it's like we all often want things easy. Sometimes we feel entitled, to everything being perfect in our lives. Everything, I deserve this. I should have this. It's not fair. It's not fair. Why is this happening to me? You know, and we get into that trap of saying, look, we have a choice. We have a choice. It does take some effort. I need to go and stop, take a breath. I need to take a moment. I need to go out and give myself some space here, you know. But if we can have that patience, if we can put that effort, that positive energy, just
When,
invest a little bit
yeah,
of that,
when we, it's not if, when. Yeah.
we can go ahead and redirect, that negative emotion to calm, to peace.
Yeah, we've got a lot of power, Jim. We throw it away. We have, and the reason why I say this is because the Bible tells us we're created in God's image, and we can do spectacular things. Right? We don't have to look far to see. It's amazing what some people do with their lives. Some of us are a little bit late. Either that, or some of us just missed a train. Maybe when they were giving out brains, we thought it said train, and we ran the other way. So we're not as good actors as the other ones are. But anyways, keeping a phrase in your heart is going to help with all of these things that we just talked about, Jim. Keeping a phrase breaks patterns of thinking. Peace before pride. That's just an example, right? Purpose over ego. You just remind yourself, don't let the small things, what is it? Don't let the small things sweat you or rob you of your big future. These are just little things. Another scripture that I enjoy, and I can say I do love the Word of God. It's about the only real solid anchor foundation that I have in my life, to be honest. Be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. Remind yourself. See, I memorize a lot of these two scriptures. I've got a lot of scriptures memorized, so they're there. This one's a good one. Be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. So the more you remind yourself of that, the more you memorize it and you think about it, the next time something hits you, that's going to pop up, right? Okay, be swift to hear. What can I learn here? What should I what should I be learning? Like, you might be thinking, man, this somebody might come on here. I don't need that podcast. It's boring. Okay, maybe, but you could have asked, hey, it's 45 minutes and I'm here for some reason. Why am I here? What can I learn? Right? What should I be hearing? Well, they're talking about this and the other thing. What are you hearing? Right? Well, you may not be hearing what we're talking about. You may be hearing something else. What is that? It's being created within this environment. You're here, we're here. There's an energy, there's thoughts, right? Where there's brain power, there's thoughts, and there's great things that can come out. I love think tanks. I love being in an area with a bunch of just brain nerds, people that just think out of the way out there, out of this whatever the curriculum, the I call it quantum leaping. I love that. I don't have the chance to do that often, but I would love to just sit in a room. I'd love to sit in a room with Trump, with Elon Musk, with ODAT, and Jim could be there too, and Obama, and all of them, and just trip brains, man. They talk about things, right? They do. They talk about things that are way out there. Why not? I could do the same thing. Who knows? I'd love to do that. Maybe someday I will, because you never know, man. What's inside you? We take ourselves for granted. We look at our little piddly selves and say, what am I? Yeah, I'm just a little peanut. But God created you, and there's something inside you that maybe you're not even aware of. You might have a seed inside you that hopefully will develop before you leave planet Earth, that God put inside you for you to develop it and share it. Right? How are you going to discover that if you don't stop and think? or come across programs like this that cause you to think about these things. No, every day you get up Monday through Friday like a robot. Ching, 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 like you're not even thinking. And things happen, right? Things, God has a way of getting our attention. If he wants to get our attention, he has a way of doing it. All right. Let me recap real quick here. We're coming down to the final action. Number one, name it to tame it. Number two, move the body. Number three, interrupt the story. Right? You got to interrupt the story. Who was it that I like his? I love his speeches. He just passed away recently, a couple of years ago. Anyways, we'll have to play one of his clips. He's really funny. Uh, Anchor to purpose. All right. Let me see. Is anybody else? God before me. All right. Jim, you got a thought or two you want to share before we start closing down? Let me see. There are multiple elements that tie into the madness of gambling. It's hard habit to break, but the blood of Jesus has the power over everything. Word and prayer. Word and prayer. I tell you, I'm so grateful for his grace. I wouldn't be here in front of you if it wasn't for his mercy. I would not. I would be trembling in the wrong shoes. Anyways, thank you for that. Laura says amen. If you got a thought, Jim, go ahead and share it. I think.
Yeah, when you are at the pit
Yeah.
of despair, when you are at your lowest point, I encourage you to just flood your mind and your focus on all the things that you can go and be grateful for. You just go ahead and start looking for all the possible things that you're grateful for and just put your attention on all those things. You just go ahead and just focus on all the possible things that you're grateful for. What are you grateful for? You know, turn your attention to all that kind of stuff. We got to go ahead and direct our mind and our thoughts to doing things that are productive. If we can go ahead and turn our thoughts towards, being appreciative and grateful, we can go and get out of that awful state, that pit of anger and depression, sadness and hopelessness, right? And it's a choice right there, right? It's a choice. It does take a little bit of effort, right, to go ahead and choose. It does take some courage, but we have that. We have that, and I think with that idea of knowing that we have that choice, we have an infinite number of possibilities, right? That are positive. We can go ahead and move forward, towards making better decisions when we go ahead and feel that anger or depression or sadness, coming up upon us. We can go ahead and say, no, devil, no, demon. I do have choices. I don't have to go and feel like this. There's things that I can go and do. There's things I can go and focus on. I have choice. I have choice in my life. Yes, I'm in a bad spot right now, but I can go ahead and do things that will get myself better, right? I have that choice. Still alive. I have many things to be grateful for. I'm going to focus on these things, right? I understand the consequences of how emotion can mess me up. Negative emotion can mess me up. And I'm not going to go down that way. I'm not going to go down that way. So it's a decision like you talk about there, Santos. It does take effort. It does take, the reminder, right? You said the good life comes from a good series of good, positive, constant reminders, right? We have to remind ourselves that we do have a choice, a positive choice.
Yeah. We do have a positive. We do have a choice. Just like Jim said, we do have it. And we're inclined, be motivated. If this program has blessed you tonight, by the way, thank you, Facebook. If this program, if this podcast, anything that we shared tonight has blessed you in some way, bless us in return. Subscribe, comment, like, share, $5 donations. Yes, I'm going to be hitting hard, and I'm going to be talking about this because there's needs. And if you need help, right, I'm here to support. I'm here. I have a free coaching that I can do, one session. I can try to help you get on track. You just might need one session. A PDF, absolutely free. It's a 5 pounder, 5 point, quick guide, quick, quick guide for gamblers. I have a few books that I'm offering. I've got tools that I'm giving, and all I'm asking is $5 in return. I want to support you on the other side. I'm asking you to support the mission. So, with that said, we're going to be back here. We may be back here on Wednesday. If not, for sure, we're going to be back here on Sunday. There's always new videos, new shorts coming in through the week, uh, and more coming. The membership is open. If you want to support the mission through membership, you'll have first access to videos, and we're going to do more in there. Just got to get in there. It's like I said, one man show kind of like. So my final joke, and hopefully I'll see you on Sunday, next Sunday, 7:30 p.m., episode number 422. Who knows what we're going to be talking about? Probably a little bit more of this stuff. So if you're getting angry too often, don't worry. Just switch to decaf and delete Twitter. I did. I got rid of Twitter. Anyways, last words. Jim, you got 5 seconds. Anybody else has a comment, a question?
Yeah. Have a great week. Focus on the good.
All right. Maybe next time, next Sunday, I'll do a carrot. We'll do something different next Sunday. Maybe we'll do a giveaway next Sunday on the podcast. Yeah, that's what I'll do. We'll do a giveaway and decaf. All right, Tonio, that's amazing, Mr. Key. I have much respect for you going. All right, folks. Until my next one. Thank you, Facebook. By the way, thank you for that. Somebody sent me a thumbs up from Facebook. Thumbs up. Thank you. YouTube and Twitch. We'll see you, Lord willing, on the next one. All right. Mr. Keevan, Laura, Race, Antonio. God be for me. Race. Who else was with us there? Laura. There's Laura. Mark. There was Mark. Antonio. Bluegrass. Cheap viewers on streambo.com. Remove the space, huh? Let me get rid of that shit, whatever that is. How did that slip in there, Jim? I don't even know how, but it did. Anyways.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be some kind of spam or something.
Right. Yeah.
How did they get in there? Blue. Anyways, all right. So much for that one. You slipped in. You got me on that one, whoever thou art. And there was somebody else. Eric. Did we get Eric? Eric was in here too, visiting with us tonight. So thank you. Nicholas. There we go. I wanted to make sure that we got Nicholas Cage, the bear. I just lost in the casino. He came in here to drop that comment. I just lost. Well, it's time for you to start winning. Maybe I start breaking these comments down next time. All right, is that it? I think that was everybody, huh? Stay strong. Have a great week. All right. Happy Resurrection Day to all of you. Thanks, Jim, for hanging out. We'll be in touch.
Thanks, Antonio. You have a great week. See you on Sunday.
All right. Or before, or possibly. There we go. All right, folks. We're done. 48 minutes and 59 seconds. Let me see. Are you ALF? What does ALF stand for, by the way? ALF. Let me know.